So I'm sure you're all familiar with how traumatic a move can be. Whether you're relocating across town or to another apartment, or you're relocating out of state to a brand new area. So the decision to relocate our company was not an easy one to make. And we knew it would be fraught with issues. September 11th, 2001, we realized that our business model, if we wanted to maintain manufacturing in the United States, that we were going to have to relocate out of California. It was putting us at a cost disadvantage. So we looked at our folks, the brain trust that we had, 100 years of experience that we had that we needed to bring with us. Who should come? Who did we need? What equipment needed to come? How would we lay out our facility? There was a ton of work that took place between 2001 and then up through 2004 when we actually shuttered our building down in San Diego. So as far as the people coming up, there was a brain trust that we had to maintain. Our ability to manufacture is inherent in the dedication, passion, skill, and knowledge of our people. It was crucial that we brought with us all of those skill sets, and we had to bring with us people who would be able to transfer those skill sets to a whole new group of employees that we would hire once we got up to Idaho. It's probably good that I did not anticipate how difficult our relocation was going to be, or I might have talked myself out of it, or talked our company out of it. You know, we looked at anywhere that we located our business, the family needed to be able to live there. We didn't want to put a corporate headquarters someplace and the manufacturing operation someplace else. It just felt like that close proximity, keep our hands in things. We needed to pick a place that was a good place to live, good place to raise kids. And so the Pacific Northwest was one of those choices. We also looked at the Tennessee, Kentucky area. When you think about Idaho, the beauty of Idaho is that there is not an urban population center that outvotes the rest of the state. Those principles that are the most conducive to having a healthy business are going to be supported because they tend to be rural principles. So our COO at the time, Phil Duckett, and I were sitting in my office in San Diego, California, and we had just gotten back from a trip to Oregon. And Oregon had put a pretty sizable incentive plan together for us to relocate to the Bend, Oregon area. And my father pokes his head into my office. He had just come back from a trip to Idaho. So he pokes his head in. He says, "What are you guys talking about?" "Well, we're talking about this big incentive plan that we just got from Oregon, and we're trying to decide." He goes, "Well, I don't know about you guys, but I'm moving to Idaho." Okay, then I guess we're done here. We're moving to Idaho. And we did. One of the elements that we were moving away from in leaving California was a sense that businesses were kind of the adversary, that businesses were loud, obnoxious, And it was so refreshing to come up to an area that were hungry for the jobs and hungry for the notoriety of being the national headquarters of Buck Knives. You know, Post Falls felt very honored that we had chosen this rural community to relocate to. So we broke ground in June of 2004, and about a month after breaking ground, the equipment still hadn't really started rolling. So a group from the city of Post Falls had come over to see the progress and were kind of dismayed that nothing was moving yet. So they asked the construction foreman, "Why isn't anything moving?" "Well, we don't have the permits yet." And so the supervisor was told, "Don't worry about that. Get going. They're coming. You'll get them." That would never have happened in California. The supportive partner role that we encounter with our local city politicians, the state politicians, when you're trying to compete globally, and so to manufacture something in the US is a challenge. And so when you have a local community that's helping you and strengthening you, that's priceless. And so, yeah, I'm really thrilled that we're here. I'm thrilled at how we're treated. I'm thrilled at how we're regarded. It makes a difference. And I'm really happy to tell anybody thinking of relocating anywhere, they should come take a look at Idaho. When we made the decision to relocate, it gave us a golden opportunity to take a really good look at our current building layout, which was about 180,000 square feet. Based upon the processes that we were now doing, we were able to generate more manufacturing square footage in a building that was 1/3 smaller than the building we had in California. Agile manufacturing is all about flexibility. There is nothing more flexible than a big, empty box. So when you think about everything that needed a wall, we built along the outside, the interior, but the outside perimeter of our building. Everything that needs walls is located against one of those outside walls. Therefore, the middle of our building is like a giant courtyard. It's empty. Overhead, we have power, we have dust collection, and we have compressed air. So anywhere we want within that big empty box, we can put equipment anywhere we want. So another agile manufacturing concept is having as few monuments as possible. Basically, a monument is something that can only be located in a very specific area. That limits your flexibility. So as you're looking at aspects of your manufacturing process, so for us, the laser machines, we're not going to move them around. The fine blanking machine, we're not going to be moving those around. We have a coolant reclamation process, a filter and a chiller that feeds all of our wet grinding. All of those things have a very specific place that they're going to need to be located. Once we put them, they are not going to move. Those are all monuments. This greenfield opportunity of relocating to Post Falls, Idaho, gave us a chance to completely relay out our building into a much more efficient product flow, and a much more efficient use of space. So our grand opening was May 21st, 2005. The mayor of Post Falls, Clay Larkin, he was there with my dad and I, and we wanted to do a ribbon cutting. So we had our internal craftsmen put together a scimitar, a remake of a knife that my great-grandfather had made that had been stolen, and we've never gotten it back. It had to be sharp because the last thing we wanted was to have to saw through this ribbon with a buck knife. So it was razor sharp. I mean, razor sharp. So I remember going into my dad's office, and the knife was on the table. And I remember Clay Larkin coming in because he was going to do the ribbon cutting. So he came in, picked it up, starts swinging it around. And both my father and I just jumped back as far as possible, because I mean, this thing was shaving sharp. So the last thing we wanted to do was lose a limb right before going out to do our grand opening. So I want to say this was back in the mid-70s. So my father had a collection of knives, swords that my great-grandfather had made. They were in his office. And somebody broke into the office and took all those knives that were handmade by my great-grandfather. And it broke all of our hearts. And we've never seen them. I would always say if anybody ever runs into any of those knives, we would love to get them back. We would love to have them in our museum. Right now, in the wallpaper in our lobby, there's a photograph of those knives that were taken, and we would love to get them back. So here we are. We've been in Idaho for 15 years. The process was not smooth. Relocation is not easy. It was more expensive. It was more problematic. It was more personally trying for everybody. But I have to say that it's been a really good move for us. It has set up our company for a forward trajectory. This is all about guarding our ability to manufacture in the United States. We're under a lot of competition globally, and there's not a lot about being in America that gives you a competitive advantage for a lot of these other areas. So the beauty about picking one of the most business-friendly states in the country was really crucial to our future.